This episode offers psychosocial education designed to inspire and motivate our listeners. The information provided does not constitute a therapeutic relationship nor a substitute for professional mental health care. If you are experiencing a mental health crisis, call 911, go to your nearest emergency room, or for listeners in the United States, text 988 for the National Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. Warning, this episode contains brain food that will lead to improved emotional and social intelligence. Thanks for tuning in to Harvesting Happiness today for a healthy serving of consciously prepared brain food. This is Lisa Cypers Kamen, your host. Since 2010, we've been broadcasting sound ideas for better well-being. Each week, we spotlight diverse thinkers and doers who are contemporary trendsetters and change agents, devoting their lives to creating a better world. I invite you to listen and change how you think about human happiness. Our award-winning content is fresh, optimistic, and purpose-driven media that promotes well-being from the inside out. This conversation originally took place in October of 2019. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are. Thanks for joining me on today's show, where you will learn about healing relationships through love, connection, and communication. My guests today are Harville Hendrix and Helen LaKelly Hunt. Harville Hendrix and Helen LaKelly Hunt are internationally respected couples therapists, educators, speakers, and New York Times best-selling authors focused on helping couples, families, and educators strengthen their relationship knowledge and skills. Together, they have written several books with over 4 million copies sold, including the timeless classic, Getting the Love You Want, How to Experience More Satisfying Relationships and Build Lasting Source of Comfort and Intimacy with Your Partner. Harville and Helen also co-created Imago Relationship Therapy to promote the transformation of couples and families through a relational culture that supports universal equality. Additionally, they co-founded Imago Relationships International, a nonprofit organization that has trained over 2,000 therapists and educators in 51 countries worldwide. Their latest book, How to Talk with Anyone About Anything, The Practice of Safe Conversations, teaches us how to build bridges, not walls, with practical dialogue techniques that encourage mutual respect and understanding for safe conversations. Welcome, Harville and Helen.
Good morning, Lisa. We're happy to be here.
Hi, Lisa.
Hi. Well, let's talk, give our listeners a little bit of history, because your work has been around for decades. I'm proud to say you are the co-creators of Imago Relationship Therapy, which is a unique healing process for couples, prospective couples, and parents. Talk about Imago, your years together as a couple and business partners.
Well, that'll be fun.
Yeah.
Our years together actually began in 1977 when we both met at a party that neither one of us wanted to go to, but were sort of encouraged to go there by our friends. And we left with, I don't quite know what the thing was, but we left knowing we were going to talk again and meet again. And we did. And we began a conversation about relationships because we were both divorced, wondering why, and how could good people like us have a divorce and stuff like that. And that led to the research on why do couples fight that led to the book, Getting the Love You Want, which was published first in 1988. And we began this conversation. We've been pillow partner talk. We've been a manuscript creator, book writers, and workshop leaders. It couldn't have happened without Helen. It's purely a co-creation of all these years of bringing stuff together. And Helen wants to say something.
Yeah, my version that I would add is just that at this party, I was a single parent. I was divorced and really sad. And someone told me Harville Hendrix was in the other room and that he taught psychology and religion at the seminary, which I knew at the university here in Dallas. And I made a beeline into the other room. Oh, and they said, he's divorced now, and you might want to meet him. So I made a beeline and introduced myself and tried to get him to ask me out, and he did. And then on dates, when he told me what he'd like to do with his life, I proposed.
Boom.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, she told me not to propose to her.
But
she was going to do the proposal if we ever had one.
well, I said that to every guy I dated.
So I waited 5 years.
Oh, that's TMI. But anyway, or maybe, I mean, it's fun for us, but don't want to be sensitive to your audience. But yeah, I was so in awe of his vision, and I've been so thrilled to be his partner.
Oh, that warms my heart, because you look at couples who have been together for several decades and you ask them about that spark, about that connection, and what it is that keeps the pilot light ignited. And there it is.
Yes. It's
well, no, that's not it.
Oh, tell us more.
So that was the lighting of the pilot light, but that didn't mean the flame didn't get extinguished. So basically, while I was excited about dating him and also so excited about the book, we fought all the time. And so we fought. And we both wondered, ooh, what would it be like to be married? We fight all the time. And so, long story short, I did propose, the book got written, and it was so exciting, but we kept fighting. And so we really went through the valley of the shadow, like a lot of couples, even talking to divorce lawyers. And the good news is I had the marriage of my dreams. We are the poster child for the dream can come back. The pilot light, the flame can be reignited.
Yeah. In fact, we had, I would say, 20 years of struggle that almost led to a divorce. And then we began to apply, and that was during the time the book had been written, had been on the bestseller list. Oprah had published it, and we were well known in the world. But we were really not practicing what we had written about and did with couples, which is kind of a lesson in itself. You can know it, but not if you don't do it, you don't really know it. So we began to practice, and a bunch of things we could say about that. But ultimately, the practice led to a reconciliation, to a recommitment, to a new marriage. Was 2000, the New Year's Eve, 1999, we had a recommitment party. So we began this 2000 with a new marriage. And we've been going really well ever since because we stay in the practice of the process.
Well, and Harville keeps growing the theory. He's the theoretician, and it's brilliant. And we added new things to the theory, and that's why there's a new edition. And in addition to him deepening and expanding the theory, what he does is also simplify it. So he can say very simply, and I can say very simply, what it takes to keep the flame flaming and warming and lighting the relationship and lighting the world.
Enlighten us, because we all want love, and some of us do have zero skill set in knowing how to create it and keep it.
Well, I think that there are about 3 important things to say about keeping love alive, to use sort of well-worn phrase. And one of them is that you have to learn how to talk. I think this was the primary discovery in the clinic, working with couples, is that the way they talk to each other made it impossible for them to solve their problems. So somewhere way back now, we don't quite know, but a couple of decades ago, we created a structured conversation called dialogue, which had 3 steps. And the steps walked people into their topic, but with highly structured guidance from the therapist. And the couples talked to each other. And what we discovered is that when we had that structure, which was a mirroring, talking and mirroring, talking and validating, talking and expressing empathy process, we finally figured out from the research that what that did was help couples feel safe. Very simple thing. They felt safe. It regulated their amygdala and their prefrontal cortex. So the prefrontal cortex began to work more than the amygdala did, so that fear, some thinking and intention could take over instead of being driven by fear and therefore anger or anxiety. So when you became safe, then we've discovered that couples could actually connect. And because when they were safe, they dropped their defenses. They weren't into being polarizing, being argumentative, or competing, or trying to be in control. They became vulnerable and engaging with each other. We call that the connecting process, where you feel like you're with a friend. And when you're connecting, then you become partners in the project of making your marriage the marriage you want. Up until that, you're opponents, and therefore you're opponents, and you don't get the marriage you want. You get your nightmare, which is what Helen and I had for a long time until we finally were able to create safety. And I just want to underline to anybody who's listening, if your relationship isn't safe, it will never be intimate. You may have sex, you may do all kinds of things and play and go on vacations, but you'll never be intimate because your brain won't let you truly be vulnerable to each other, except maybe in episodic moments that you always remember. So the first thing is to learn how to talk, and that's to learn the dialogue process. And that's the first thing that we teach couples. Began to say over 20 years ago, it doesn't matter to me what you talk about. What matters is how you talk about it. In fact, I think, Helen, you're responsible for that actual sentence. It's not what you say, but how you say it. And then you may want to pick up on the zero negativity and the affirmation process and fill that in as the second thing to keep love alive. Is you have to.
So I think to first say that we have a definition of relationship. Most people think it's two people interacting, and we talk about it as two people and the space between them. And people go, what? Why are you saying the space between? It's empty. It's invisible. There's nothing there. But actually, there's an energy field in the space between two people. So things like the look in each other's eyes or the tone of voice a couple uses when they communicate to each other, speaking in a succinct way rather than flooding their partner with words. There are ways to talk that can create safety in the energy field between the couple. And there are minor things they can do that create anxiety. And when there's anxiety, connecting is ruptured. But when there's safety, connecting reconnects. And the flame continues glowing.
And can't happen unless you're safe.
And it really, there's a long story we won't go into, but Harville is the one that really was interested in his and my practicing having zero negativity in the space between, seeing if we could communicate without making each other feel anxious. And we got a calendar and charted it every night to see if we could succeed at having one day with one of us, with both of us feeling safe with each other throughout that day. And it was really hard. It was sort of like a research on our own selves that, boy, we kept blowing it with each other. And we, not only have read all the relationship books out there, we've written a couple, and we couldn't do it. We just couldn't do it. We couldn't go to bed saying, today I felt safe in your presence.
Wow.
Yeah.
From the experts, no doubt.
Yeah. That was a big wow to us. We had no idea. Like for my end, Lisa, like I wasn't ever being negative. I was just trying to improve Harville. I have little things that if he did a little bit better, it would make his life work. I had no idea that my great advice landed negatively on him. Oh my goodness. I now ask Harville questions. I wonder about Harville. I let other people try to improve him. If there is any improving needed, I stop trying to improve Harville. And I have a better relationship. And Harville learned some things. But a couple can experience a lot of wonder if they practice zero negativity together.
So I got better after you stopped trying to improve me.
Much better. Poor Harv.
Counterintuitive, right? We want to fix and bend and knead someone into something better when we step away, they do it just fine on their own if given the opportunity.
Well, the way we language that is that negativity or criticism of any kind, it basically annihilates your partner because it says you are not the person that you could be or should be or that I want you to be. You have to be somebody else. And everybody, even if they don't consciously feel that annihilation, even if they don't think that that's annihilating to me, they experience annihilation. And so consequently, they're going to do one of two things. They're going to come back with a roar and say, you can't get rid of me, and I'm not going to do all that. Or they go away and don't protest, but they're gone. Either way, the relationship is ruptured. So we now have a pretty strict thing that if you want the relationship of your dreams, you must go zero negativity. And there's a process, even a pledge that people sign, and we help them understand what it is and how to do it on a daily basis. Then the third thing that keeps love alive is sort of like a garden. You have to water it, and we call it the affirmation process. And that is that instead of putting your partner down, you put your partner up. And you say that, hey, that was really good. Thank you for bringing me that cup of coffee. I love the warm look in your eye. You are such an amazing person. Wow. You do all kinds of affirming the being of the other as okay as it is. And when the other is affirmed and not negated and talked to in such a way that you can connect, you then free the neurochemistry of the brain to produce endorphins and dopamine so that you have a support in your body for what's happening in your behavior, which is influencing what's going on emotionally. So we say that's the formula. Learn how to talk so your partner will listen, and to listen so your partner will talk. Is zero negativity and affirmation, and you will build a relationship of your dreams because it'll be safe, you'll experience connecting, and joyful aliveness.
Let's take that pause. But before we do, to learn more about Harville and Helen, please go to harvillandhelen.com. You can find them on X at Harville Helen, Harville Hendrix, and Helen LaKelly Hunt. On Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, they are at Harville and Helen. We'll be right back. Wait. Before we go to the break, it is time to check on your holiday shopping status. Cyber Week is here, and in my humble experience, taking good care of our bodies is one of the best gifts we can give. Way has something to offer everyone during their special Cyber Week sale, their biggest of the year, running November 26th through December 2nd. And sharing products that contribute to happiness is one of my favorite holiday habits. That's why this season I'm gifting Way's fabulous hair, body, and fragrance products to my tribe. Thanks to Way Hair Care products, my once flat, limp, and dull hair is now bouncier and shinier. My newest favorite is Way's best-selling, nutrient-rich multitasking hair oil, which winterizes your tresses, smooths out the frizz, seals split ends, and keeps color from fading. Regardless of your hair type, Way's hair oil will rejuvenate your tresses to be healthier and more vibrant, not to mention smell incredible, like walking through your favorite perfume shop. This holiday, give way better gifts with bestsellers like their multitasking leave-in conditioner, detox shampoo that cleanses product buildup, St. Bart's hair and body mist that smells like a heavenly vacation. Way offers a complete hair care solution that promotes fuller looking, healthier feeling, and happier hair for everyone. Fine, medium, or thick hair, Way has got you covered. Save 20% off site-wide from November 26th through December 2nd when you give the gift of Way. There are so many ways to save this holiday thanks to the Cyber Week sale at Way from November 26th to December 2nd. Go to THEOUAI.com for 20% off site-wide from November 26th to December 2nd. when you enter promo code HH. That's THEOUAI.com for 20% off, promo code HH. Now let's take that pause. We'll be right back. Harvesting Happiness is rooted in science. Our work facilitates applied positive psychology practices through media and consulting. We're committed to sound ideas for better well-being, leading to increased life satisfaction and a better world for everyone. We're not into pseudoscience or quick fixes. We're focused on common sense backed by rigorous research. Healthy critical thinking is the foundation for our discussions. We encourage you to challenge preconceptions and explore ideas with a curiously discerning mind. Collaboration with our guests is united by an inclusive vision to boost resilience, critical thinking, communication, and problem solving through civilized discourse and pleasurable relational engagement for everyone. Each day, we have the intellectual freedom to be happy or the liberty to be miserable, regardless of external circumstances. If you or someone you know is struggling with mental health, please seek support because good psychological health is vital to the achievement of a healthy and satisfying life. Visit harvestinghappiness.com for psychosocial and educational services that boost emotional and social intelligence. And we're back, continuing the conversation about healthy relationships through love, connection, and communication with my guests today, Harville Hendrix and Helen LaKelly Hunt. Let's get back to it. So Helen and Harville, let's go back to something that you shared in the previous segment about your years in struggle as a couple. And I thank you for being willing to be vulnerable, that V word, which we'll talk about in a minute, about the struggle and where it led you.
Well, it was hard for me to become more public in Imago and not be vulnerable because I give Harville so much credit for agreeing that it's an important thing to share. So the story basically is that I was so impressed with Harville's vision and his intellectual capacity to pull it off, help write a book about that illuminates why do couples fight? Why does the dream become a nightmare? Which is what he said to me on that date that caused me to eventually propose and marry him because I was in awe that someone wanted to write a book like that. And I had a master's in counseling psych and went halfway through a PhD in clinical psych, and I was very, very interested in psychology. Harville is the visionary and the theory builder and clinician. But the book got written, and I was helping a lot behind the scenes when suddenly the Oprah studio called. He went on the show. I really wanted just his name on the cover. She took it to the Emmy committee, and that show won Oprah her first Emmy. So she had him on 16 times. So the book is really famous. Well, I'm doing cartwheels in my heart. I'm so thrilled. I'm so excited. All the lives this is going to touch, all these families, all these parents, and all these marriages can be saved. But our own parenting styles were very different, and problems crept in and got bigger and bigger in our home. We had a blended family. And the discrepancy of how people imagined we related and what it was really like was so great. So I asked Harville if we could go to therapists till we could find a good one. After the fifth one, we kept firing them because we were smarter than them. And the fifth one fired us and called us the couple from hell. And it was really, really tragic that we went to divorce lawyers and announced that to our families and to the Imago community. And that's when a couple things happened. And eventually we thought, we think we can keep this together. And we do have the relationship of our dreams now. But just want to say that you have to learn to be able to talk about the tension or the differences that are there. And Imago therapy does teach you how to do that. That in retrospect, we're glad, believe it or not, I'm sort of glad that this all happened because so many couples are moved by our vulnerability.
Yes.
They
Yes.
tell us that, you know, because you all struggled, it makes us know that our excuse that Harville and Helen are compatible, so it works with them, but it doesn't work in my relationship. They can't say that. It really was hard for us to do it too. But anyone who does this process can have the marriage of their dreams. They can have the transformation.
I just want to add something about the Imago therapeutic process and the practitioners that you have worldwide, that the book, Getting the Love You Want, has been translated into more than 50 languages. And there are more than 2,000 therapists worldwide trained in the Imago process. So this is not a fly-by-night operation.
Yeah, right. I haven't heard it said like that before.
Right.
That's certainly true.
Yeah, we have a family of Imago therapists in 53 countries all around the world.
Yeah, 53 practicing in 53 countries. And we have also 30 people on our faculty who are training therapists all over the world to do Imago couples therapy. So, and that's been going on now for about 25 years. So, it's not a fly-by-night. And we're hoping to be around forever because couples need and want to be helped. And I'd like, if I could add and embellish something you said, Helen, about our stuff and to go to the theory. I think that what finally got clear to us, and we've been struggling with, a bunch of our colleagues write books on how to fight fair and fighting fair and how to have a good fight and all that sort of stuff. And I think we've had a problem with that because we have figured out how basically you don't have to fight. You will always have tension, and the tension is because you're always going to be different because there's no other way we can be except different. But the tension can be a what is the phrase we use? Conflict. There's growth trying to happen. The tension you don't have to be in conflict about the tension. The tension can be conducive to collaboration and requiring collaboration. And it may not always feel good, so that it's not like cotton candy, but it doesn't have to be polarizing and rupturing the relationship. The tension, in fact, produces growth if you hold the tension without going into disconnection. So I think Helen and I pretty much got difference down. I mean, we can have a difference and it can be pretty intense, but it never turns into a fight. That certainly nothing like the old days when fighting was about all we did because tension because difference was so objectionable for such a long time. So it's important to know that the tension is not going to go away because of the fact of difference, but conflict doesn't have to exist because if you hold the difference, you grow into new parts of yourself and you grow a new part of your relationship and you become more creative on the outcomes of any problems you're dealing with.
I want to tap into something you said about safety, because when we feel unsafe, much of the time that feeling is coming from something that is not real and present, but a feeling that is arising because it makes us feel like something in the past. I guess where I'm going is, that if we're unwilling to look at our families of origin and childhood trauma, it's pretty hard to have this holistic, safe, connected relationship that you speak of.
Yeah, exactly. It is. And the safety actually comes from two, and the fear that requires us to work towards safety comes, we think, from two sources. And one is the natural human, the natural fact that human beings are different, that the world presents itself uniquely to every human being, but every human being believes that the world that they are experiencing is the world that is. That is the real world. That's the true world. And so that the the conflict is about my world, your world. Like one of mine and Helen's tensions is what will the temperature in this room be?
Right.
And will it be at 70, it's about 71, which is good for me, or will it be about 74, which is good for Helen? So is the room cold or hot? Well, it depends on who's shivering and who's sweating, because perspective and experience are always different. And that's a sort of prosaic way, and everybody can identify with that. But if you put that and magnify that to the whole human situation, everybody, everywhere, experiences the other person's reality as different from mine, and therefore a threat to mine. That is, which reality is the one that's going to rule the roost?
Right. And I'll just mention all I needed was to put on extra clothes. You know, I mean, duh. I mean,
Yeah.
you don't, it's sort of, so back to, it's not necessarily what we're discussing, it's how we're discussing it, and making sure we're discussing things from the upper brain where you can collaborate and make win-wins. I now love my 3 layers of flannel nightgown.
And your electric blanket.
Yeah,
So
great. I'm acing it. But anyway.
So the tension produced creative outcomes so that I can sleep under one sheet and she sleeps under an electric blanket, but in the same bed. So that's just, again, a prosaic thing. But the second source of the problematic is that that inability, we think, the inability to really see and accept difference as okay comes from our childhood background, in which when we were little and in our parents' arms, we were being shaped by the sensitivity, the attunement that they had to our needs. And we were recording them as they were interacting with us and creating in our amygdala an emotional memory of our parents and of our interaction with our parents. And in our later on, that's from the beginning of life in the amygdala, which is the fear center of the brain. Then later on in the hippocampus, we begin to record the events, actual events. But that's at about age 3 or 4 that we can record events. Prior to that, you can only record emotions. So, but these emotions and these recordings have 2 subjects. One is, what are they doing that makes me feel safe and alive? And what are they doing or not doing that makes me feel scared, as if I'm not going to survive? So the baby's basically calibrating that all the time and making a picture of it. And here's the fact, what makes this interesting is that template, that movie, all of us run in adulthood when we're looking for our intimate life partner. And the movie, we're looking at the world through the movie, through the template, through the filter, for somebody who is similar to the caretakers who did not meet our needs. And when we see that person, our unconscious mind, we have 2 layers of perception. Our unconscious perception will see this person as similar to the caretakers, triggers memories, not in our conscious awareness, but in our conscious awareness, we're just excited. And we move across a crowded room towards this amazing person. But underneath that, there's an expectation being set up. This person is like mommy and daddy. From them, I can get my needs met. So when that happens, you fall in love. And then you move toward establishing a connection and a relationship with that person and your unconscious mind so that you can get the needs met from a person in adulthood that were not met in childhood. But this person is similar in adulthood to the person in childhood who did not meet your needs.
Because you selected them. We select that person. So we're attracted to it.
We're attracted to it. We select it unconsciously. We wouldn't, if we knew what we were doing, we wouldn't do it. So this is, I think, whoever who made up the world, made up human beings, knew that the person we need to be with is not somebody we would choose if we knew who they were. You would not pick a person like your cold father and your invasive mother But that's the only kind of person you really are attracted to at the unconscious level, because those are the people who frustrated you in childhood, and you have to get what you didn't get from a person similar to the one from whom you didn't get it, but from whom it should have come. That seems to be the way the brain sets it up. So obviously you're going to go into conflict about that, because that person that you've fallen in love with is going to respond to you like your caretakers did. Oh. They're not going to meet the need. And you're going to respond to them like their caretakers did. You're not going to meet their needs. So you're going to go into a real serious impasse. And this is where it's really important that couples know that the big problem in their relationship, the big impasse, is not a function of their own adult will. It's the collision at the unconscious level of two competing need systems, both of which are seeking to be satisfied in a relationship in which neither one has the capacity to do it. So they have to know what it is and then grow that capacity, so that the problem your partner has with you is an opportunity for you to grow a part of yourself that you would never grow without that partner's needs. But turns out that's a part that got shut down in childhood by your parents. So you were unwhole, and your partner wants the part of you, like let's say we all grew up with two arms, but your parents in childhood shut down one of them, but you'll marry somebody who wants both arms. Yeah. And then they will say, I want the other arm. And you say, well, I only have one arm. And they say, well, I think you can do it. I think you can hug me. I think you can do whatever. And if you stay with it, instead of saying, no way in hell, I don't do windows, if you stay with it and say, I will learn to be that, I'll learn to do that, you'll discover you're activating an undeveloped part of yourself, which is your full potential that got shut down in childhood. So your partner's needs calls you into your own wholeness. So this is what makes the tension between opposites growth producing for both persons, if they will stay in the process and use a relational technology to make it happen. You can't just do it, just keep trying, slugging away. You really have to know how to do it. And the relational sciences are now well enough developed that we now know how to help couples move out of that impasse into a conscious partnership with some speed.
And to learn how to do it, I think people need to get the book, Getting the Love You Want, How to Experience More Satisfying Relationships and Build a Lasting Source of Comfort and Intimacy with Your Partner. So if you're having a hard time with your loved one and you want to learn how to communicate better, create a safer zone within the relationship and increase intimacy, I highly recommend the book. I have read it years ago and I'm rereading it now. And I've had the great pleasure of hosting Harville Hendrix and Helen LaKelly Hunt in the house. Will you come back and do more with me? Because there's so much more we can explore together.
Would love to.
It would be an honor.
Absolutely.
I feel the same way. To learn more about the work of Harville and Helen, please visit harvillandhelen.com. On X, you can find them at Harville Helen, Harville Hendrix, and Helen LaKelly Hunt. On Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, go to Harville and Helen. Thanks for joining us today on Harvesting Happiness. This is Lisa Cypers Kamen on behalf of my guests, Harville Hendrix and Helen LaKelly Hunt, wishing you kind thoughts, kinder words, and the kindest of actions. Until next time, remember, happiness is an inside job. Happiness is your inside job. Please go out and rock your day, and remember to be kind to one another. Want to explore more sound ideas for better well-being? Check out our new bonus edition content at More Mental Fitness by Harvesting Happiness on Substack and Medium. Subscribe, listen, and share hundreds of downloadable episodes wherever you get your podcasts. Connect with and follow us on most social media channels. To learn more about lifestyle management and mental fitness consulting services, please visit harvestinghappiness.com. Harvesting Happiness and More Mental Fitness are produced by Lisa Cypers Kamen, Andrea Mengele, Robin Boyd, Andrea Daly, and the excellent team at Podfly Productions, including Eric Begay, Kimberly Beck, and Alec Guess, in collaboration with TogiNet Radio, KBUU, RadioMalibu.net, and is available on PRX, the Public Radio Exchange.